All glories to Sri Guru Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakandhitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed. Practically, the theme of all Vedic literatures is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Surabhyaya Namaha Om Surabhyaya Namaha Mukham karoti vasaram pagom langayate girim Yatkripatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Yatkripatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam Plus. We continue our reading from Canto number 1. Just keep an eye out for vehicles, whatever. First Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 1, entitled Questions by the Sages, and today we are reading text number 3. Nigama Kalpa Taror Galitam Shuk Mukhad Amrita. Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam Muhur Aho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha Bhavukaha. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukha mukhad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam malayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Word for word. Nigama. The Vedic literatures. Kalpataroho. The desire tree. Galitam. Fully matured. Phalam. Fruit. Sukha. Srila Shukadeva Goswami, the original speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, Mukhat, from the lips of Amrita, nectar, Drava, semi-solid and soft, and therefore easily swallowable. Swallowable, that's a swallow. Jai. Samyutam. Perfect in all respect. Pibata. Do relish it. Bhagavatam. The book dealing in the science of the eternal relations of the eternal relation with the Lord. Yeah. Rasam. Juice. That which is relishable.
Which is
Alayam. Until liberation. Or even in a liberated condition. Muhuhu. Always. Aho. Oh. Rasikaha. Those who are full in the knowledge of mellows. Bhuvi. On the earth. Bhavukaha. Expert and thoughtful. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. It's also a long purport. O expert and thoughtful men, O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarine juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Kind of repeat after me. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of the Vedic literatures. The lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarine juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. That the Srimad Bhagavatam is the sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures. Due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. Where is Ramesh Babu? Right.
Ramesar Pro is coming.
So, here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is further explaining this point being made in the verse itself. Pastimes are those that actually take place in Vrindavan. Many pastimes take place in Vrindavan, of course, but the most confidential of all of those pastimes, as you know, is the Rasa Lila. And this is revealed or explained in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things knowable by man. That's also an important point. Okay, I saw him first. if he's here, that means you're not. We will base our cultivation of knowledge, especially if we are teachers, for example. If we are in the academics, if we are involved in some educational institution, then this is a very important principle, that all knowledge that is needed for us to actually become successful, both materially and spiritually, is contained in the Vedic literatures. Then Prabhupada continues in necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Vedas contain regulated principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter. Just like nowadays also people who live in the cities, they cannot we are close to a tree. They cannot exist, they cannot go to work, for example, unless they have a car. Modern day society is arranged in such a way that people have to acquire so many material things. But the vast majority of life, material necessities, as well as spiritual, are to be found or contained in the Vedic literatures. Prabhupada just mentioned so many subject matters here. Above and beyond all this, above and beyond all these different material subject matters, that is a base or rasas. So we discussed the other day briefly the topic of rasa. No one can live without rasa. Yeah. So the Bhagavatam actually deals especially with this subject matter, and will introduce its readers to the real transcendent. These sensual pleasures are technically called rasas. Such rasas are of different varieties. In the revealed scriptures, the following 12 varieties of rasas are enumerated. 1. Raudra, anger. 2. Adbhut, wonder. 3. Sringara, conjugal love. 4. Hasya, comedy. 5. Vira, chivalry. 6. Daya, mercy. 7. Dasya, servitorship. 8. Sakya, fraternity. 9. Bhayanaka, horror. 10. Vibhatsa, shock. 11. Shanta, neutrality. And 12. Vatsalya, parenthood. The sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Please, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. And when these 5 are absent, love is present indirectly in anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and so on. For example, when a man or rasa between a man and an animal, or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world, the rasas are exchanged between members of the same species. But as far as souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange, or rasa,
Not all of them, but how much we have.
so the subject matter of rasa is being discussed here. It is a very deep subject matter. We were discussing about one of the 10 tattvas, Dasamula tattva, that Krishna, let's say the culmination or the perfection of rasa finds itself when we connect with Krishna. Whatever so-called rasa we experience in the material world will not satisfy us. So the perfection and the full expression, we could say, of rasa is only realized, is only experienced when we reconnect with Krishna. And we reconnect with Krishna through his service. Because, as explained by Acharyas, that devotional service is not different from Krishna. The vision of Krishna. It is it is not different from him. And our Acharyas also explained that Krishna himself, this rasa, this spiritual rasa, is so powerful and so attractive. I'm sure you've read the story of Krishna who is in Dwarka. Krishna has so many palaces in Dwarka. Every day he's going from one place to another. So one day he's sitting and he has, his palaces are made of all kinds of gems and marbles. So he's looking at the floor and he sees his reflection on the floor. And he's amazed. Who is that wonderful person? It's me. Krishna, in other words, Krishna is attracted by bhakti. That's why it is explained, the subject matter is very much detailed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who actually take up this process of pure devotion, that is how they attract Krishna. Krishna is attracted by those who are actually, if we want Krishna, one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional. And of course, we need to do that because we cannot see Krishna. Of course, the Lord is very merciful because he can begin to exchange or to interact. Just like those who have deities, every day they have opportunity to serve the deities, to worship the deities, to offer nice food stuff to the deities. That is one way, one activity. And because not everyone worships personally the deities, but everyone can perform activities of devotional service, especially in the matter of chanting the holy name. So these are ways that these Shruti mantras, it takes a long time for us to understand what is being here, what is our constitutional position, unique relationship with Krishna. But even if more drops come, we will. So in other words, the more we associate with such literatures as the Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam especially is focused on this aspect, bhakti, focused on the personal feature of the absolute truth. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, one of the verses will be reading in the Bhagavatam. So in this way, the Bhagavatam is therefore the most powerful way by which we can revive our original constitutional position. Purport is also quite long in this verse. Even though it is taking us there with the on the planet. I mean, practically nobody even knows about Bhagavatam. But even those who are attending Bhagavatam class, they still don't immediately know who they are. It means this is our misfortune, in one sense, that when we leave Krishna, it's just long time to again reconnect in our original transcendental nature or relationship with Krishna. So here it's mentioned that it's only in the liberated stage. So of course, I'm sure you've all read or heard about some of the pastimes of some of our great acharyas who were on that transcendental platform and who were simultaneously in this material body, but also knowing and understanding their original nature with Krishna. So it means that it takes a long time, and it's only at a certain level. Actually, it is mentioned that it is at the level of bhava, which is just before prema, that one can actually, that one's identity, that one's relationship with Krishna becomes actually revealed. And it's, Prabhupada would discourage all of his early disciples. Some of them wanted to go to Vrindavan after reading in the Nectar of Instruction how the perfection of life is to be living on the banks of Radhakund. And some people prematurely would go to Vrindavan, and then they would meet with some Goswamis, not Goswamis, they would meet with some Babajis, and then they would tell them what they call their siddhadeha, their actual spiritual relationship and nature, and then they would start acting out in different ways, in funny ways sometimes also. Someone thinking that he has become a peacock and he would make the sound of peacock all day. These things cannot be and should not be forced, but actually this awaits the sincere practitioners of Krishna consciousness, that at some particular point, now at least we know we're servants of Krishna. Nitya Krishna Das. At least we know that much. What is our actual nature or identity, spiritual identity? And of course, that also remains very confidential. It's not something that you go around speaking about. Even those who are, Prabhupada never spoke about these subject matters. He never spoke about what his eternal, he hinted a few times, but he never talked openly. Such subject matters are actually very, very confidential, very personal, and are not meant to be openly discussed. Anyways, for most people, it's not a problem because they don't know who they are.